Hey everybody, Barry here from the Brewed Palate. I'm here with Jesse Friedman, one of the founders of the Almanac Beer Company out of San Francisco, they're New York City's newest and craft brewery, one of the many craft breweries from California that's now thankfully available in my neck of the woods. So I guess I'll, first start off, can you just tell us a little history of the brewery, just, so all of us can know a little bit more about the brewery?
Sure. We've been around for about 3 years. We are based out of San Francisco, California, and our motto is farm to barrel. We're really inspired by the farm to table food movement. And we really try, and I apologize, I'm going to use a dirty wine word here, infuse a sense of terroir, a sense of place into our beers, because beer is traditionally made with dry ingredients, and so what we do is we try and tie it back into California agriculture. So everything we brew is collaborating with local farms. So we collect a lot of ingredients, and we try and marry local fruit and farms with, kind of classic and maybe not so classic beer styles.
Right. So from what I read online, you were more, brewing at someone else's brewery. So can you just tell us how your brewing works, where you store your barrels, how often you're brewing?
Sure. So it's an interesting hybrid model. We brew at a brewery in San Jose that we don't own the equipment, but we have sort of rapidly grown within them, and it's become a really great partnership for us.
Right.
And so we now on site have our own fermentation, and we also have a dedicated barrel aging facility, which now holds over 1,000 barrels.
And is that temperature control?
It's, what's nice about California is it's pretty applicable. We're right there in that Mediterranean climate. So we do some temperature control, but thankfully things don't get too hot or too cold where we are.
Right. So, I know you guys brew a combination of sour and non-sour beers, where you put the sour cultures more in, in mostly wine barrels, and then everything else in brandy and other whiskeys. Can you just tell a little bit about, how you keep them, if you keep them separate, and how you work and manage that overall 1,000 barrels you talked about?
Very complicated spreadsheets is the main answer. No, it's just good brewing practice. I feel like it's a lot like homebrew. It's sanitization, good record keeping, good quality control, and a lot of laboratory testing.
Right.
We go in, and honestly, your palate is kind of the best. Is really the best measurement. Your palate can oftentimes detect more nuanced sour or infection flavors than you can even get from laboratory equipment.
Right.
And then it's just good practices, good sanitization, and being willing. If beer doesn't meet standards, we don't put it out.
Right. So, you guys, have at least from what I see, that I've heard and what we have on tap here at this event at Blind Tiger, have a lot of different sours. So how do you guys, do you have a house culture, or how do you manage that house culture?
Yeah.
And all the bugs that you guys put in.
Yeah. We brew a lot of different beers. I think it kind of comes out of our homebrew kind of history, where we just love to try and do different things, and we brew some stuff, and if it's amazing, we'll brew more, and if it's less than amazing, maybe we'll change it, maybe we'll just leave it by the side. But I think part of the fun of being a craft brewery is experimentation, and trying new things and trying to create new delicious things. We maintain a house sour culture. We use a really aggressive lactic strain. We call them sour beers. We like to have some acid in there. It should have, some acidic punch for not everything, but a lot of our sour beers.
Yeah.
And it really brings forward, a lot of that fruit character, and creates really, culinary food-focused beers that are delicious with food. That acid level really works great with a lot of food.
Right. I don't know if you want to kind of mention any of which strains you're mixing in. But because it just a lot of it's like creating creating your own house character is blending the right ratio of lacto, pedio, and Brett. So.
We use a fairly active lactose strain. I'm not even sure if it has a specific name. And then we use a combination of different Bretts. We use Brett Brux, Brett Brux Trois, Brett C. And then we use a fairly sweet Belgian Saison strain as the primary fermentation agent for those Saison beers, because that's going to leave behind a fair number of sugars,
Correct.
Which is what we want. Because I like my sours dry, I like them complex, I like them clean on the finish. And then the truth is it's blending that really helps us put those beers back together.
Right. I find that in sours, it's really is all about the blending, because if you don't, like, you never really know, if any acetobacter is going to get into the barrel or whatever. So it's all about, like, you might have one really, really sour barrel, and then a few tame ones to, kind of blend those in.
Yeah, I mean, it's really amazing how much variation from barrel to barrel in barrels that are the same. They develop kind of personalities in a lot of ways. And that's one of our favorite steps. So, we joke that our job, the yeast does all the hard work and we just take credit for it. So our job is really to step in and try and select the best pieces that they've done. But we really like that barrel blending process. It's a great place for us to step back in and a sort of authorial control over the beer and really select for the qualities that are delicious.
Right. So just to step back from the sours are just a tiny bit. You brew a good variety of clean beers. So can you just talk a little bit about what some of those beers are and how what inspired the beers you chose to be those clean beers?
Yeah, we brought our IPA out here, creatively called Almanac IPA. It's a really modern IPA that focuses on fruit flavors, kind of leaning a little bit away from the citrus and the spice and the pine, and a little more in the direction of mango and pineapple and tropical. We use El Dorado and Mosaic and Simcoe in there, and really, again, try and create a really, really hoppy beer that doesn't have a ton of bitterness. It's really all about it's about that clean finish, that sort of, you want that brightness, but it shouldn't melt your face off. And a really good IPA shouldn't blow your palate out either.
Right.
And then we brought out our brand new year-round Saison. It's called Saison Dolores. It's actually named after the Mission neighborhood where that established San Francisco. Mission Dolores.
Right.
And that's a dry...
We actually have a beer bar called Mission Dolores.
Well, we have a church called Mission Dolores. And that we brew with a French Saison strain. And then we dry hop it because we're from California.
Of course.
And we use some new German aroma hops that are really, again, bring some of that fruit flavor, try and really create kind of a modern drinkable IPA, modern drinkable Saison that'll go with, again, goes with food.
All right, so, one thing I was talking to Brandon, your VP of sales, is that, in New York is a very tap-based city.
Yep.
You haven't realized that already in the short time you've been here. And, I find that, when small breweries like you guys take the leap and, say, you see that New York has a lot of craft beer drinkers, people that we think we would appreciate our beer, but it takes a lot for a small brewery, as I said, to take that leap and say, we're going to have a lot of accounts. You might even have to turn down a few. So, what really brought you to decide to take the leap and come here?
It's New York.
Yeah.
We're the restaurant culture of San Francisco is so important to us. We're incredibly proud. We collaborate with a lot of chefs and being a part of that food culture. And so New York really seemed like such a natural fit for us to come out. We've been focusing on restaurants here as well.
Right.
But yeah, we're sending draft beer out here too, not just bottles. I feel like we really try and look at a market and send what they're interested in.
I really admire that you came from the homebrewing roots. So, how has it really been like, in a short history to really come from home brewing? Maybe you could tell us a little bit about, what you were brewing before you started Almanac. Because it's so, like, for me, like I told you, I like to brew a lot of creative Belgian beers, and I'm starting with my sour. So really, how has it really been to, like, first realize, of course, you brew some really good beers and then, join in and open a brewery?
It's funny. When you're a home brewer, everyone always tells you it's the best beer they've ever had because everyone loves free beer.
Right.
So I always encourage people to join a homebrew club.
Right.
Joining a homebrew club is how you get really great technical feedback from people that really helps you become a better brewer.
Right.
And Damien, my business partner, and I actually met in San Francisco Homebrew Club. And so everyone would bring a mix of commercial and homebrew beers to different meetings.
Right.
And I picked up a bottle with this just gorgeous label on it. And I was like, I've never even heard of this brewery. And Damien was like, oh, that's actually my homebrew, but I'm a designer by trade. And so I put commercial grade labels on all my homebrew. And it was sort of love at first homebrew sight. So Damien, who really is the other half of Almanac, he does all the design and packaging for the brewery as well.
Right.
And we really got started. We developed all of our beers as homebrew recipes to get started. And it's great. I mean, the thing is it's really amazing that there's some things that are easier as a commercial brewer than there are as a home brewer, but there's lots of things that actually as a home brewer are easier to do. But it really is the same thing. It's the same process. It's the same mechanics. It's the same flavors. It's the same ingredients. And so there's a lot of technical challenges, of course, when you scale things up. And doing sour beers, barrels can be an intimidating jump to make as a home brewer.
Right.
But yeah, we were brewing a lot of the kind of, looking back, you didn't know it at the time, but it was recipe development for Almanac. I was brewing a lot of one-off beers. I was always brewing something new, trying a new yeast strain, and always incorporating farmers market ingredients. And that inspiration in those beers is what really created Almanac.
Yeah, awesome. So, now that you guys have been around for a few years and are really growing, and like we said earlier, like taking the leap to come into big markets such as New York City, like what are some things are coming up, from you guys? Like, do you have plans of actually finding your own brewery space and having a place, with a tasting room?
Yeah,
stuff like that.
We definitely want to do a tasting room. It's coming. We're a small company, and it's been, for the last year, we've just put everything we had into the barrel program.
Right.
But as we grow and we have a little more stability, hopefully we'll definitely get a tasting room open in the next year in San Francisco.
Right.
And then it's just a lot of what's always exciting about barrel aged beers is the beers for the next year are already in the barrel. So one of the, we just got our pumpkin beers out here.
Right.
So we did a dark sour pumpkin beer that's aged in wine barrels and lightly spiced after it's blended. So you combine sort of aged beer with bright, fresh spice. And then we brought out our heirloom pumpkin barley wine,
right.
Which is 12% alcohol barley wine paired with, we get pumpkins from Bodega Bay, which is just north of San Francisco. Its claim to fame is it's where Hitchcock's Birds was filmed.
All right.
And we aged that in brandy and rye barrels, and kind of combining the spicing and those barrel flavors together. And then coming up after this, we have our third batch of Dogpatch Sour, which is one of our just favorite beers. I think it's the only beer we've gone back to 3 times now. And that's our Flanders Red aged on Rainier cherries from the Central Valley.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Me too.
Flanders Red is actually one, like for me, especially like in terms of sours, it's always been like the darker sours, the Flemish Reds, the Oud Bruins, the darker even, like Russian River's Consecration, Supplication.
Yeah.
Those are like those are the sours that really tend to blow me away, from time to time. So I definitely, now that you guys are in New York, I'm really excited to hopefully be able to try that one, and see your guys' twist on the style.
Yeah. We well, thank you. It's been a really incredibly warm welcome here in New York, and we're thrilled to be selling beer here, and I'm even more thrilled to be drinking some of the local beers I can't get out in California while we're here.
All right, so I guess we'll wrap this up. Just wish you guys good luck. From what I've tried tonight, I've been really impressed. So definitely see you guys. Even before you came here, you had an awesome reputation, but now that you guys are growing, I look forward to seeing even any new beers that you guys come up with.
Oh, me too.
Right?
I can't wait to try them. Awesome.
Hey,
thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Do